The history and mythology of Alëthra, of great Wotan, and the beginning of everything. In the beginning, there was only the All-Father, great Wotan, and the primordial soup from which he ate. For untold eons, great Wotan ate and was contented. But as the child will eventually outgrow the kid's menu, so too did Wotan tire of the primordial soup, for it was pureed, and he wanted it chunky. And thus it was that great Wotan began to separate the soup into its constituent ingredients: meats, vegetables, broth, and 2 bread rolls on the side. But as the primordial soup became the world's stew, great Wotan brought forth a mighty sneeze, plunging the world's stew into a state of swirling chaos. The vegetables and their seeds became earth, and the plants that grow. From the broth, great surging oceans arose. From the meats sprang forth the great primordials and the heavenly angels, as well as the devils of the hells and the demons of the abyss. Finally, the bread on the side caught fire from Wotan's sneeze and became 2 great flaming spheres circling the chaos. Wotan smiled, the first smile of the All-Father, and set about shaping the world's stew to his liking. The earth and the oceans he formed into the giant sphere that made up the ancient Alëthra. And as for the bread rolls, one became the sun, while great Wotan broke the lesser of the rolls and fashioned the pieces into moons that he named Chalan and Brioche, separating day from night. As great Wotan toiled, mighty beads of sweat sprang from his brow and fell into the world and became his children, and are the lesser deities of Alëthra, whom he immediately tasked with shaping the great continents of his creation. But sweat is ever salty, and the children of great Wotan were ever dissatisfied with their station. And even as they worked to fulfill their father's design, they plotted against him in secrecy. When great Wotan saw that his work was nearly done, he went to fetch a goblet of wine that he had been saving for dessert. When he returned, he slid and fell, and lo, the weight of his holy buttocks pressed on ancient Alëthra as he sat upon it, flattening it. As he fell, great Wotan dropped his mighty goblet, and the wine spilled into the world. There it mixed with the leftover meats from the world's stew, and it endowed the meats with the spark of life, creating the beasts of Alëthra. When the countenance of great Wotan fell upon this happy accident, he smiled the second smile of the All-Father, and he picked up a handful of crumbs of the bread. He poured the crumbs into some of the beasts, granting them immortal souls, and Wotan created the sentient races of Alëthra, the dwarves for the mountains, the humans for the plains, the elves for the Fey realm, and so on. Great Wotan set his children to watch over the sentient races of Alëthra, and thus began the first age of the world, the years of the All-Father. The years of the All-Father and the Great Debacle. For 3,000 years, the world knew only peace and harmony, for owing to his infinite wisdom, great Wotan knew not strife nor wrath. At the dawn of history, the elves came from the Fey realm and established themselves in mighty halls as the preeminent race of ancient Alëthra. And under the benevolent gaze of the All-Father, the peoples of Alëthra danced and frolicked. Hither did they dance, and thither did they frolic, and great Wotan was contented. As the peoples of Alëthra danced hither, their favorite among the children of Wotan, Freya, walked among the elves and taught their wisest the primal magic of the Druids. And as peoples of Alëthra frolicked thither, some mated with the heavenly angels and begat the Aasimar who brought with them the divine magic of the clerics. And great Wotan was contented. But as the peoples of ancient Alëthra danced, some of the children of Wotan moved among the humans and taught them envy and malcontent. Some of the humans crossed with devils and begat the tieflings, and wickedness spread among them as they aligned with the children of Wotan. But the All-Father saw it not, so still great Wotan was contented. In the end, the humans set upon their elven masters, while the children of Wotan rose up against their father in a mighty calamity, and great Wotan was no longer contented. On all the plains there was turmoil. The humans fought the elves, weeds set upon their floral brethren, and cats turned on their canine friends in treachery. For a century there was war above, war below, and war in between, and calamitous destruction was everywhere. Until at last, Lathander grabbed a hold of Chalan and struck his father across his holy countenance, leaving an imprint of his face on the moon. As he fell, great Wotan's body was broken, and his holy countenance became the island of Grimkopf. As great Wotan died, his essence seeped into the world and became arcane magic. The humans, who were the least of the races in wisdom, lifespan, and smithcraft, had found in the war that at least they were first in their proclivity for violence and destruction, and they were swift to adopt arcane magic for their vicious purposes. The elves and Aasimar found that their ancient magics could not now match the firepower of the humans, and they were soundly defeated. With the fall of great Wotan, 3 of his children, who had stayed loyal to their father, were overtaken by a wrath so foul that it turned their hearts to evil so irrevocably that they became the Foul Three, the eternal enemies of the children of Wotan, Asmodeus, Orcus, and Lilith. And ever since that time, their names were rarely spoken at more than a frightened whisper, for their wrath was great and their purposes ever malign. And thus ended the years of the All-Father. The years of the children. With the end of the debacle began the years of the children. The 7 lesser deities took up residence in their father's abode, the Himmelschloss, which they fashioned into the 7 heavens, 1 heaven for each deity, and they shared their father's responsibilities among themselves. At first, they sought to supplant the peoples of Alëthra with creations of their own, but the deities possessed too few of the leftover meats from the world's stew, and they managed only to create the halflings and the gnomes, whose diminutive size was ever a source of great entertainment among the peoples of Alëthra, who saw them merely as hilarious imitations of humans and elves. The dragonborn and orcs also came into Alëthra, but the children of Wotan knew not whence, for the world's stew had finally gone cold. After this, the first failure of the children of Wotan, the deities deemed it wise to be less ambitious in their goals, and so they watched silently as the lifeblood of great Wotan seeped further into the world, turning the beasts it tainted into dangerous monstrosities and dragons who ever harried the peoples of Alëthra. And the children of Wotan did little about it, and so the deities turned their attention to the kingdoms of men, seeking to lend them guidance as the new masters of Alëthra. The humans, however, were wicked and jealous, and they turned on each other and warred with great violence and tenacity, and the deities possessed too little of their father's wisdom and benevolence. So the children of Wotan did little about it. After this, the second failure of the children, the deities each retreated to their own domains and let the races of Alëthra war and strife, and thus continue the years of the children.